What if one late-night news briefing quietly changed the direction of an entire actor's career, and maybe even the future of Chinese cinema? Recently, Yangcheng Evening News, a respected mainstream outlet, released a list of so-called blockbuster dramas across 4 major platforms. Hidden inside that list is a title carrying huge expectations and even bigger questions. The Mermaid, led by Wang Yibo. Is this just another star-driven project? Or the moment a so-called traffic idol truly steps into the world of serious acting? Tonight, on Star Watch Now, we are going to unpack the story behind that one line of news and why it has the whole fandom watching every move. Sometimes a single line in a serious newspaper can feel louder than 1,000 trending hashtags. When Yangcheng Evening News placed The Mermaid on its list of blockbuster dramas, it was not just reporting statistics. It was quietly raising a spotlight. A respected print outlet speaks to a different kind of audience. Older viewers, industry insiders, people who may not live on social media but still shape opinion and reputation. For Wang Yibo, this mention is more than praise. It is a form of acknowledgement, a signal that his work has stepped beyond fan circles and entered public conversation. Suddenly, The Mermaid is measured not only by pre-order numbers, but by what it represents for a changing industry. Is this project a safe commercial bet, or a bold artistic wager disguised as a blockbuster? That newspaper line is like a question written in black ink. Can one drama carry both mass appeal and artistic ambition? For many viewers, this is where curiosity begins. Not with a poster or a teaser, but with a quiet sentence in a serious column that suggests something bigger is at stake. At first glance, it would be easy to file The Mermaid under another star-led production. Yet the more closely you look, the more the familiar patterns begin to crack. Instead of a glossy urban romance or a predictable historical fantasy, the story leans into tension, silence, and atmosphere. The sea is not just scenery. It feels like an emotional landscape, cold and vast, pressing against the characters' choices. Rather than building the entire narrative around a single, perfect image of the lead, the project appears to ask, what happens when beauty is placed in hostile conditions? When fear, exhaustion, and doubt are allowed to show on a face usually curated for perfection. The Mermaid hints at moral ambiguity, at characters who are not easily sorted into heroes and villains. It invites viewers to pay attention to small details. The weight of a look, the distance between 2 people on a tiny boat, the sound of water when no one is speaking. In doing so, it moves away from the comfort of familiar idol formulas and gently suggests a different promise. This time, you are not just here to admire someone. You are here to feel what it costs them to be human. For years, debates around Wang Yibo have often circled the same point. Is he popular because of skill, or because of timing, face, and fandom? The Mermaid arrives like a door half open, inviting that question to be asked more honestly. Transformations in the public eye are rarely elegant. They are awkward, risky, and sometimes painfully exposed. By choosing a role that demands discomfort, physical cold, emotional vulnerability, long hours far from glamour, Wang Yibo appears to be stepping into that difficult space where labels are tested. The question, can he really act, is not necessarily hostile. It can also be hopeful. It is what people ask when they sense there might be more beneath the surface. This project offers him no easy hiding place. If the performance is shallow, it will show. If it is truthful, it will also show. For viewers, watching him in The Mermaid is less about judging a finished product and more about witnessing a process. You see a young man attempting to move from being looked at to being taken seriously. Whether he succeeds completely or not, the effort itself resonates with anyone who has ever tried to outgrow the role the world assigned them too early. There is an undeniable friction when a director known for complex, art house storytelling meets a star whose presence fills billboards and fashion spreads. It is almost a collision of 2 languages. One speaks in long pauses and fractured timelines, the other in instant recognizability and global appeal. The Mermaid sits at that intersection. For the director, working with a top star is both an opportunity and a test. Can he shape a performance that reveals new depths without losing the actor's natural charisma? For Wang Yibo, standing in front of such a director is like entering a classroom where charm is no longer the main currency. Here, precision, restraint, and emotional detail matter more than the size of one's fanbase. The potential reward is immense. If the collaboration works, it may soften the boundaries between festival film and mainstream hit, inviting a wider audience into more ambitious storytelling. It also sends a message to younger artists. You are allowed to want both impact and integrity. This meeting is not just about two names on a poster. It is about whether commercial and artistic worlds, so often kept apart, can learn to share the same frame without canceling each other out. Long before the first episode airs or the first ticket is sold, something else has already begun. A quiet wave of collective imagination. Fandom has always been creative, but projects like The Mermaid reveal just how powerful that creativity can be. Across continents, people sketch possible scenes, design unofficial posters, write speculative endings, and translate tiny fragments of information into full emotional narratives. A simple behind-the-scenes photograph can spark discussions about costume symbolism, character dynamics, even the temperature of the sea breeze. This is more than enthusiasm. It is participation. Viewers are not standing outside the story, waiting to consume it. They are preparing a space for it in their own lives, planning group watches, setting alarms for release times, promising to support international subtitled versions so more people can join in. In this way, anticipation becomes a kind of shared ritual. When a newspaper calls The Mermaid a blockbuster, it is naming something that fans, through countless small acts of attention and care, are already building. The project turns into a meeting point where different languages, time zones, and cultures briefly align around one question. What will this story make us feel once we finally see it together? The Mermaid is not appearing in a vacuum. It arrives at a moment when audiences worldwide are quietly reassessing what they want from screen stories. Many are weary of empty spectacle, of lavish sets and famous faces that leave no lasting impression. At the same time, there is a growing curiosity about voices from outside the usual centers of Western cinema. Chinese films and dramas have already shown they can travel emotionally, even when cultural details differ. What is changing now is the ambition to balance accessibility with depth. A project like The Mermaid, framed as both a potential hit and a serious artistic effort, stands at the edge of that shift. If it connects, it will suggest that international viewers are ready for Chinese stories that do not dilute themselves, but invite others into their specific rhythms and questions. If it divides opinion, that too is useful. It reveals where comfort ends and challenge begins. Either way, the path forward seems less about copying global trends and more about trusting that honesty, craft, and risk-taking can resonate across borders. In that sense, The Mermaid is as much an experiment in cultural conversation as it is a single title on a release schedule. It is easy to talk about The Mermaid in terms of industry impact, career moves, and artistic ambition, but there is another layer that matters just as much: what it asks of us as viewers. We are no longer passive recipients of whatever appears on a television schedule. We choose, we pause, we replay, we recommend. Our attention is a kind of vote. When we decide to engage with a project that tries to be both entertaining and thoughtful, we are quietly shaping what will be made next. Watching Wang Yibo in a role that demands more than charm invites us to adjust our expectations, not only of him but of ourselves. Are we willing to sit with slower scenes, unresolved tensions, characters who do not fit simple labels? Are we open to feeling slightly uncomfortable if it leads to a richer emotional experience? The conversation around The Mermaid reminds us that viewing can be an active, almost ethical act. We can reward courage over repetition, sincerity over noise. In the end, the drama's real legacy may not lie solely in ratings or reviews, but in whether it encourages us to ask for stories that respect our intelligence as much as our desire to escape.